The kid was wearing a Simpsons shirt for some reason, by the way. So you get the line, the blood seeped through Homer Simpson's face, pulled around the kid's lifeless body. There is this many pages of text until the next important thing, which is all just them. Ben goes into, again and again, long, drawn-out explanations of media cycles that occur between one thing happening and then another thing happening that are like these chain reactions to something occurring. And it's all the media cycle doing it, because Ben Shapiro lives in a world where when he talks, anything other than fucking bad shit happens. The all the way from here to here is just again and again. It's just like, oh, I can't believe what happened. This, blah, 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 blah. This happened, then they caught it on, blah, blah. The newspaper headline the next day said it all. The kid takes charge. What? That is the most... I have never, in my mind, actually like had someone perfectly write out the spinning newspaper cliche from a movie into a book, but that is it. That it's inarguable. That's what he was thinking. Like fucking Batman noises. The kid takes charge. Who is the kid? Have we been calling him that the entire time? Because it's not super common in this that I can remember. Why would the public at large know who the fuck you're talking about? That's the newspaper headline the next day. What fucking news? He repeatedly talks about, like, then CNN, then Fox News. Like, he names publications throughout the entirety of the book. This is the one time he does it. And I just have it, it's just like, Shapiro Town News, the kid takes charge. Like, who the fuck would write that headline? I was in journalism and the Marine Corps. All of it's offensively wrong. Do you see what they wrote about me in the paper? The kid takes charge. It's hard for me to do this, but it's also very cool. Literally, shit happens. All right, shit happens. We find whatever. Then a week later, the real bomb. A report appeared in the New York Times, filled with anonymous accusations of a sexual liaison between Brett and a young reporter, Diana Kelly. Kelly had requested an interview with Brett a few months before. She'd been studying at Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government. Who gives a fuck, Ben? And wanted to write her thesis on counterinsurgency. Why? Why would you even talk to him? Like, what the... She was 30, sexy, and extremely sharp. She'd taken to running with Brett during his morning jogs, quizzing him, questioning him. They spent long nights huddled over maps of the country, with Brett explaining in minute detail how the insurgents would plot their counterattacks. That is, first off, and I can't express this to you enough, not COINTEL or counterinsurgency. Counterinsurgency has nothing to do with battle plans. Counterinsurgency is a philosophical application of force and unit strength and tactics and like what do you have? Resources in order to counteract an insurgency. It's not about battle plan. Battle plans is fine. We figured all of the ways to fight literally like 100 years ago, basically. I know that sounds crazy, but it all boils down to there's certain things that people can do and you just protect against them. Novelty, expect novelty, and that's it. Counterinsurgency shit has nothing to do with battle plans. It's all like, hey, we've got to figure out why the people that are here like us less than they like the people who are insurgents. And it's like, okay, well, we really need to stop killing their children. We have noticed that causes a serious decrease in our favorability polls. So we should stop killing their children. And also, we should consider leaving because they fucking hate us. If that's not an option, we're going to have to figure out something else. Well, we can't, we have to stay here and we definitely have to keep killing their kids. All right, well, this is definitely more of a chess blunder of an operation at this point, but we'll see what we can get going. But that's what counterinsurgency stuff is. It's awesome that he's like the John F. Kennedy Center for blah 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 in Harvard, whatever, fucking jerking off into your own fucking mouth, bullshit. And then he talks about counterinsurgency and just gives the almost a perfect incorrect description of what it is. It's like he thinks it's just counterattacks, which is fucking awesome. Because this isn't like I'm smart, all right, and I'm really good at the military. Like I'm a military this is dumb fuck shit that just everybody knows. It's just dumb, basic information. It's not high level stuff, you know. It's like walking into onto a farm and being like, "Wow, you've got some great pigs here, sir." And the farmer just looks at you and goes, "Them are cows." What you mean, pig? That's it. It's that level of like, what are you talking about? Impossible to take seriously. Ben went to Harvard. That's why it matters. He thinks that makes him important enough for a man bear to plow. So it should make her important enough for the man bear to plow. I don't know what man bear pig. Also, the reason that I highlighted this is where I realized that he's supposed to be a stand-in for, like, I think it was, I'm not going to look him up because I don't care. But it was like General McManus or MacArthur or something like that. I can't remember. And then General Petraeus, who hilariously, this guy that I knew, who's an old man who worked actually in fucking counterinsurgency operations. I met him in North Dakota. He hated General Petraeus, and he would call him General Betrayus. I just wanted to share that. Petraeus got in trouble right around when I was like in my second year of college. So like 2011, 2012 for infidelity, which is actually a literal crime in the military. You can't cheat on your wife. You get in military trouble because the military has extra laws called the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, that are true fascism. Y'all don't even know. America's fascist, bro. Trust me. You don't know. You ain't been there yet, okay? You can get in trouble for stuff like conduct unbecoming, right? Which is like, hey, the vibes are off. I think I've told you guys this before. But I'm like 99% sure that infidelity, if it's not part of conduct unbecoming, is actually against the law in the Marine Corps, because you can't fucking, or the military in general, because you just can't fucking cheat on your spouse. It's just a crime. She can cheat on you. It doesn't fucking matter, but you can't cheat on your spouse. That's happened to guys while I was in. That's like one of the few things that will get you fucked up as like a sergeant or an officer. A bunch of people getting like sexually assaulted under your command, like somebody getting murdered, like people just accidentally drowning. Hey, things happen. But you fuck up bad, because generally all the fucking wives hang out with each other, and like, you know, hey, you know that fucking Colonel Matthias is friends with your wife. You know that, right? She came over to Colonel Matthias's house crying last night. You are about to get fucked with a green dildo the size of a goddamn redwood tree, because he doesn't even care about infidelity, but he had to stay up listening to his wife, and she was fucking pissed, and now he's pissed. And guess what? He outranks you, and now you're fucked. Like, that's the military. It's a gnarly place, okay? Don't do it. But yeah, he got in trouble for some shit like that, and got booted. And then the other dude that we're going to be bringing up in here, he got removed from Afghanistan and being in charge of Afghanistan because he got interviewed by, I believe, Rolling Stone once upon a time. And it was like, America's new rock star general or something is going to change Afghanistan. And that guy was just like, wow, Barack Obama is kind of a dumb fuck, and he's not doing shit. And I've told him that to his face, and he didn't do a fucking thing, which is wild. So he just like shit talked the commander in chief. It might not have been in such egregious terms, but trust me, just saying anything negative towards all of the people is insane to do, because he is the commander in chief. He's the head of the executive branch of the federal government, of which you are merely a pawn, even as a general. And he can veto your promotion to anything. So it's just, don't ever pick a fight with the president when you're in the military, because he's the God Emperor, quite literally, of your entire life. He can have you shot. The president can have you shot if you're in the military and you do certain things. Like he can basically kind of sidestep the judicial process if he really wants to, just cause. More than likely it would be like political suicide. You'd just be like, what happened? Like, I just ordered a random lance corporal to be killed. Like, you wouldn't do that. But he has the juice to do it, especially if you step out of line. They can hit you as hard as they want. Literally just steamroll you out of existence. And that's who they're comparing this guy to. And he really is like that. This Brett dude in Ben Shapiro's book is a fucking dipshit and talks shit to the president the entire time. The president, of course, is a Democrat and therefore a bad guy. He's a bleeding heart, commie pinko, and that's pretty much enough for him to also functionally be Satan. But we'll get to that. So yeah, they were cheating. Then I'm a damn fool, Brett said. I've got men in the field and I'm not going to abandon them just because some floozy is telling purple stories. You don't really have men in the field as a general. That should be understood. When you're at that level, because you're no longer a company grade officer, people don't go with you. You go to people in a crazy way. So when you're a general, with notable exceptions, if like quite literally you're in charge when an entire thing happened, like the invasion of Iraq, a general actually moves on the great chessboard of the earth. Any other, like with all of the people, any other time, generals move from command to command. They don't bring the commands with them. Generally, they're in charge of such a large area that they don't go place, and their men aren't places. Their men are everywhere, right? So like if you're the general, if you're head of, for instance, 1st Marine Division out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, your men are always everywhere. Your men are in 29 Palms doing training. Your men are in Virginia doing training. Your men are at Cherry Point doing training. Your men are on Camp Lejeune murdering hookers in the barracks. Your men are overseas fighting, maybe even just sitting at chow hall. You have so many people in so many different places that to even like say that is like strict, because that's not your job. You don't really have men in the field that it's you are quite literally at the I am moving chess pieces, and the chess piece is like a risk token level of movement. It's just a strange thing. Like a self-absorbed thing to say. Some guys do say that kind of stuff, but honestly, like if you were going on jogs and getting interviewed by some reporter, you didn't really care that much in the first place kind of vibe. But it's just a strange thing to say. Do your job as a general. Like your first duty isn't quite literally to the men on the field. It's like in a grand scheme way to all of the men that will ever be on the field in the first place. Like as a general grade officer, like at the tippity top, the present isn't really your concern at all anymore. This is like the metaphysical like understanding of combat, because you can't even see or interact with real-time shit. Because that's like for guys like me, I'm running around. Gotta climb up this building so I can go throw red smoke over those trees. You know what I'm saying? And then like the guy that's over 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 me. That dude works for you in like Quantico, Virginia, talking with a bunch of people that do stuff. And you've got to make sure all of those gears work correctly. It's just a strange thing to think. As a matter of fact, if a general has said that, maybe there's a way that they articulate it correctly, but it's not like a thing. But your goal is to make sure everything operates smoothly, so that like a decision that you make based on, like deciding like what kind of fucking body armor that you want to go to, you want to like work with at trial, and you've got to go talk to fucking Congress about like, hey, during this round of acquisitions, our biggest focus is no longer on additional 2-inch thick rolled steel armor for the M1 Abrams like Mark II defensive platform. Those platforms aren't as necessary, we've found, anymore. Our biggest concerns are Osprey insurance, and then also like increasing the overall like lifespan of SAPI plates, because we found that they're getting they're getting banged up too much, and the entirety of like First Mardiv is suffering a staffing problem. So we're going to have to like readjust staffing going in that direction. Additionally, we have done some research into troop retention via these firms, and we have found that the current retirement age is not very appealing to American citizens that are considering entering the military, and we think that a reduction of that retirement age and an increase of 2 to 4% pay overall for incoming enlisted individuals, and a increase in the pay bump from NCO to staff NCO of about 6% in order to offset the costs of just being an older gentleman, like we all are, in the military, is going to definitely increase the amount of troops that we have actually. That's what you do as a general, by the way. Ospreys are insured? No, they're not. That guy didn't pass that through. Osprey insurance is a fucking great joke if you were in the military when I was. That's what a general does. It sounds fucking miserable, right? But that's what you're signing up for. You've got to go and have like coffee in uniform with a senator from fucking South Dakota who's just going to be like, look, what you need to understand is, even though I moved to South Dakota from Alabama, I feel like a true South Dakotan. And they say they want our tanks. They want our APC. I don't even know what an APC is, let me tell you. But they want our APCs that they say are non-operable. They're going to take them all the way out there to North Carolina and drop them off in the ocean to make fish houses. Now, what do you say about it? I say they can't have them. I say they can't have an American taxpayer paid for that APC. Why are you going to turn it into a fish house? Well, you got to understand, Senator, thank you for your time. I love this place, by the way. Those APCs are past their service life. One of the biggest concerns for threat management going into the future for the United States military and for the American people is shoreline degradation. I know that's a little out there for anyone. We're out here in North Dakota, a little landlocked. But shoreline degradation is impinging our ability to launch battleships of a certain depth. We've got to make sure that the keel depth is up to 30 meters in these areas because of wave changes and stuff. And dropping these APCs off the shore helps coral build, fish get there. It's a large ecosystem thing. I know. You can ask the eggheads about it. It's not my deal either. But we need those APCs dropped off. I've got guys on it that are talking about it. Yours are past their shelf life. We're going to pull all the oil out of them. We're going to pull all the stuff. We're going to drop that steel off the coast, and we're going to turn those into reefs. Hopefully that's going to end the shoreline degradation that's going to build up the Navy. I know, hey, the Navy needs all the help that it can get. I was in the Army. Not really my thing, if you know what I mean, but that's what we're going to. And what we're going to try to do for you, by the way, is we are going to try to increase personnel at this base over here by about 2,000 to 3,000. We're going to bring over this regiment from North Carolina. It's kind of been on standby since the end of operations. We had some stuff going on in Kuwait. We're going to bring them over here. This is going to be their permanent duty station. That's going to bring at least 2,000 military jobs, federal money coming into your state. And all of the ancillary jobs that are going to pop up around that. We expect at least 25% of those are going to be company grade officers as well, which is pretty good. They're going to be wanting to send their kids to college. They're going to be wanting to send their kids to the best schools that they have around here because we don't have any schools on that base. That's going to be a pretty solid boon. I think that could probably help make up for that. Or, what do you think? As a matter of fact, it's not really for us to decide, but when you head back to Joint Action Committee and you talk that through, just remember this conversation that we had. And also, Uncle Sam's going to pick this one up for you. That's what a general does. I can't even, that's their life. It's fucking miserable. And it's why they end up going into stuff like Walthrop Grumman and shit. Because it's what they're good at. That's it, man. They're not exciting people. If they wanted to be like, my men are in the field and I've got to be out there for them. And there's some dipshits that make it up that high, but usually our general people that make it that high, they're doing tactical maneuvers against people like in a situation that actually does often warrant like reward merit. Like you're trying to out tactics in politics people like General Mad Dog Mattis. You know what I mean? Even Petraeus is fucking like not great as he was. That's a keen military mind. These guys are all fucking trying to outdo each other for like the best positions, and the rules that go around it, and because they're all watching and making sure everybody stays above, it could be bad. You know, it's not like perfect, but the higher ranking officers I have always noticed are like infinitely better at everything that they do than the lower ranking ones. You usually matriculate out if you're dog shit when you're a captain because you never see the negative reports. Those go through the enlisted people who go and whisper it right into the ear of some command sergeant major that's over here like, oh, you know that fucking captain? Goddamn Presbolewski over there? He lost 2 rifles and had his boys covered up for him. By his boys, I mean my boys, who almost got fucking Section 8'd out of here because they're almost had to go to the fucking brig for lying to me about rifles. Thank God one of them had the balls to say a fucking lieutenant told them to lie about 2 rifles. Can you believe that? His dad got him off of something, but no. When they take him up to boards, I don't want anything. No, I literally I can't take it. I will literally run him over with a car if I see him on a range. So don't bring him over to my side of the base with a fucking Oakley font. Like, that's the vibe. A10 is ugly and gray. I'm sorry. The military is so much more interesting than people give it credit for because everybody just wants to do the dumbest fucking, like, run and gun bullshit. But, like, the politics and the dipshittery that goes on is fucking amazing. And I just wish people took it more seriously. Back to fucking Ben's dumb goddamn book. The driver approached the crowded Kabul Furushgah, parked the vehicle, and then whispered to himself, Allahu Akbar. We're still going, okay? So let's just skip through this. We start getting into points. Every time it's like a blue thing, that's where Ben starts saying like just random anti-democratic nonsense. Just the troops sprang into action, trying to administer aid, trying to save lives. They'd been hamstrung by the administration when it came to killing terrorists, but at least they could help victims. It's the old ROEs. The old ROEs argument, if you guys remember that, rules of engagement. I don't feel like I can kill every single person I feel like. I don't have the warrant to kill in Iraq that just the average Chicago police officer enjoys. Of course, oh yeah, this one's because it's just the very first Allahu Akbar, of course. You're never going to say that. No one's ever going to say God is great, which is like just the most basic, like, oh, Jesus Christ, thing that Arabic people say or fucking like Muslims say. It's they say Allahu Akbar about everything. They say it during their prayers. They say it when if like a goat rolls down a hill and then like stands up with no like injuries. Oh, Allahu Akbar, like fuck. It's the same thing, okay? But in Benland, it's going to preface an explosion, of course. Okay, so this is where shit starts to pop off. It's absolutely ridiculous. Brett gets into a fight with the ambassador to Afghanistan, and this is where like the whole thing starts to fall apart. Brett's fighting the ambassador to Afghanistan's like crooked, whatever. And then Brett gets mad at him, and like the base gets attacked, and the base in Kabul just gets fucking annihilated somehow. During this, every helicopter that's ever existed in Kabul also like disappears, and like he gets left out to dry. Get your pansy ass onto the roof right now, he said, slowly glaring. Feldkopf. Yeah. I'm going to skip through the rest of this shit because it's boring as fuck. Basically, he does action movie shit and like tries to sort of save like a private on the way out because there's only 2 types of people in action movie. There's like red shirts and then like a gentleman officer who can fucking bullseye the fucking wings off of a fly at 100 meters with a fucking M9 of all things. That kid dies. He runs around. He finds some shit. Yeah. It had been 3 hours. Brad sent it. Okay. Skipping to the next whole fucking chunk of shit. All right. We meet the fucking Prescott. This is the first 13% of the book, by the way. I was still going through it. The entire first 13% of the book is just a exhaustive and endless description of Brett, whatever the fuck's name's career, as like a news story goes. Endless, miserable, dog shit. We get to the president. President Prescott is just like a white Democrat guy. He is, I feel like he's like John Kerry-ish, you know? Like he's got like a John Kerry vibe is what we go after. He is talking about he wants to put in state something. It's called like Work for Freedom. Or I think this actually... okay. So Prescott spent. He spent on green technologies, on education programs, on food stamps, and highways and medical mandates. Yeah, he's unfathomably based, but he's also like, I don't like military. Like that. Like whenever Prescott has like a moment, like his evil moments, or when he's just like, he's spent on vacations and dinners and public works projects. What the fuck? Every dollar spent, he told the American public, created $5, no 10 in commerce. The money could be hidden in the mattresses of the rich, or it could be shared with everyone. Based. He had to add extra shit in there that didn't have anything to do with the guy's policy. He just had to slander this fictional character he made up and say that he's also doing graft. Okay. Well, you have to understand. Imagine this way. You have a president. Okay, we're gonna say his name's President Prescott. He goes out there. He puts in work programs. He says, I'm going to give money to the poor. He says, I am going to put people to work. And that when we put people to work, that for some reason, the money's going to cycle around. Who's going to pay for it? That's my question. Who's going to pay for it? The rich? Who are the rich? Or is that you? They will say the rich, and then yet, when the tax man comes, who are they going to come for? They are going to come for you. They're going to come for your child tax credit. It's like, yeah, because fucking Republicans are still around, man. We all know who's going to fucking make the poor people pay first. All right? Yeah, and even if the fucking Democrats make poor people pay first, the Republicans are going to make damn sure that poor people pay fucking twice. I'm going to get you in the stock dividends, and I'm going to get you in the hospital, and I'm going to get you in the boardroom, and I'm going to get you when you pay your rent. But you better worry about old Uncle Sam, because he's going to take a percentage of the pittance I leave you, boy. So we go through here. We're talking about... This is awesome. Bradley stood silent. Then, after a pause, he noted softly, Mr. President, the Treasury is empty. This is never explained in any way that makes sense, because this is like they're putting together a work program, right, where they're going to put money into, which works, by the way, every time. If you just fund public works project, when you put money literally just down into the community, it's impossible for just every single person to somehow make the money disappear, and they start spending it amongst each other. It's just a fact. It's just a fact of life, you know, because you're like, oh, what, this drug dealer made $1,000. And it's like, yeah, did he spend it all on whatever because he had to have bought fucking some fried chicken at Indies at some place, you know what I mean? Like he's got to buy gasoline for the car you don't want him to have. He's paying fucking rent. All that money's going around in the fucking community. Like that shit is how you fucking live. Instead of like, no, gotta keep it. The treasury is empty though, it's fire. As though it's like literally like Donald or Scrooge. What happened to me treasury? Where did it all go? He checked earlier by jumping off the diving board at the U.S. Capitol building that just leads to the Treasury, and then he just hit the concrete at the bottom. Ah! Just 2 days ago, we were swimming in gold and spitting coins into the air. I'm supposed to be Scottish, aren't I? But I can't do a Scottish accent. Scottish people are technically subjects of the crown. Less based. Can't do the accent, sorry. Scots. Scott's Malding. Oh, okay. So, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, next we're introduced to Soledad O'Brien, who I guess she lives in Central Valley. Soledad Ramirez, sorry, who I'm just going to assume is Latina, although she's like the least Latina human being ever. She's a rancher, okay? And she decides to do terrorism because she can. Her ranch gets shut down because of some EPA regulations. It's just the ranch thing again. Remember when we had the ranchers that were taking down the federal government by invading like a Parks Department building and like holding Parks Department employees hostage and then doing a standoff with the federales? I still think those dudes should have been fucking blown away. Just on the principle of fucking wasting everybody's time. It would have just been funny, you know, to see people huff and puff. Some dipshit got fucking cracked by the FBI for pointing a gun at him. I think that shit's fucking hilarious. I don't care what side you're on. She fucking loses her farm and becomes a terrorist. That's her entire fucking arc, okay? She's barely in the story, and you may recall we were in Afghanistan, and then the president, okay. The president's relation to Afghanistan is literally he's just always antagonistic to Brett. Soledad's relation to everything is just like leftists made her lose her farm in Central Valley, California. Her ranch. She had a ranch in Central Valley, California, which I don't even know if that's particularly... All California farmers are on notice eternally. Like, it's mostly arid, and, like, if you had to do that much irrigation to grow fucking cabbage in California, like, dude, just try to do farming somewhere else. It's all it's not... Or raise taxes on rich people so that they can't afford the $4 billion they need to fill their fucking pools up in the hills of California. Like, You gotta choose one. Choose your direction, Western man. Higher taxes on the rich, or fucking leaving because you're a fucking farmer in California. That shit's wild. Also, like, if you're a farmer and you have trouble in America, it's always just a little bit like, but get dunked on because you know the Native Americans, man. I feel like the government's not making me feel welcome on my own land. Well, yeah. Well, we've been farming here for generations. Yeah, but like, how many? My great granddad was a pioneer. In like 1917, man. Well, we've had our farm down here in Virginia since the 1600s. Oh yeah, you just you guys out there in Virginia growing tobacco on your own. What makes the grass grow? So Soledad's like giving cookies to like SWAT guys, and eventually like the SWAT guys decide that they like her. Here we go. This is why she loses everything. You have to fucking dig down. Then one day she received her property tax bill. The state government, hard up for cash, had decided to raise the property tax. She owed a supplemental $15,000. But like, does he not know how fucking state taxes work and like property? That's fucking wild. Because it's not like then one day the state just raised property tax. Who knows? Well, isn't that gonna happen? Like, there's a whole fucking like legislative thing. It doesn't just fucking happen. And no farmers get like caught unaware by this shit. They're all fucking involved in that stuff. It's part of your business. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, somebody that has a gun shop and they don't have like their finger on the pulse of like federal regulation regarding their fucking, the thing that they sell all the time. They all know, and they're all fucking a part of it. She's like, I was just farming my horses one day, just doing a horse farm in Shapiro town. milking my horses, and then the government's G-man came by and said, I'm 15,000 short, and now I have to leave. The same day, she received a letter from Emilio. This is one of her workers. This is fucking awesome. Every fucking person that's in this book that's not like an important white guy gets just greased off screen. If they're not a bad guy or like an important white guy, you will just get greased off screen with no ceremony as just like a footnote in like a up-jumped New York Post story that like Shapiro half remembered. The same day she received a letter for Emilio. He and his family had been forced to take a small apartment in East LA. I was born in East LA. I fucking love that guy. Emilio had gotten a job at a local factory. Their son, Juan, had enrolled in the public high school. That's where he had been killed. One of his classmates apparently had tried to recruit him into a gang. When he refused, several of the gang members found him in the bathroom. They began punching him. When he fell, they kicked him. And when he didn't get up, they fled. With prose written with the smoothness of peanut butter. So, like, there's just a bunch of shit with her. Soledad. Is this where? Yeah. Okay, so she begins a standoff because she's, like, going to lose her farm, and then she starts a standoff with a SWAT team that's just in the area. I don't know. Now we meet Levon. The only black main character in this entire thing, who is literally just like a hand-wringing, slimy race grifter. Detroit was a shithole, but it was his shithole. That's the way Levon Williams thought of it. He'd grown up in this shithole right near 8 Mile Road, which Ben knows from famous Detroit-born rapper Eminem, Marshall Mathers. Also known by his moniker Slim Shady, a member of D12, recruited into the rap game by Dr. Dre. They say Dr. Dre's dead. No, he's locked in my basement. Shady, why is your face red? Basehead. I can't remember any fucking rap lyrics. Don't at me. Detroit was right near 8 Mile Road, a long stretch of street separating Detroit from Oakland County. I don't feel like anybody thinks of it. That I've known a bunch of people from Detroit. I've been to Detroit like a number of times. I have a friend that lives off of 12th Mile in Rosewood. He lives up in that area. So I've been, like, I drove around, like I drove down 8 Mile. It's cool. In Detroit, all of the mile roads are literally just all mile, because it's a motor city. Like, literally, it's all for cars. It goes up to, I think, 24 Mile, and it's just rings of roads around the center of the city. So, like, all of that still, like, everybody just still kind of says, like, they're from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? And you just take, like, the highway out, and then you get off onto the miles, like, whatever mile road you're from. That's it. Roseville. He's from Roseville. I think it's 12th and Roseville. I could be mixing up two, because I knew another guy that was from, I think, like 23 Mile and like, I can't fucking remember. I don't know. But it's a big ass fucking, like, mostly empty city. It's built like fuck by morons. Detroit was 85% black with a median household income of $27,000 per year. Oakland County was 77% white with a median household income of $65,000 per year. End up on the wrong side of the street, you could wind up carjacked, mugged, or beaten and left for dead because those rich white people are fucking out for you. Did we have to specify? I guess we didn't. The emergency response time measured 25 minutes from City Hall to downtown Detroit. This is a fictional book. Can I just repeat? This is painful. I might look like disheveled and sweaty. It's A, because this is a very warm sweater, and B, because this fucking story is horrible. This character has nothing to do with fucking anything until the third act of the book, okay? until the third fucking act. I know I'm supposed to be slowing down here for a second. Levon's whole thing is that he's a race grifter, all right? Who is underneath the like awning of another race grifter. There's like other things, but that's all he does. Levon's whole deal is that, yeah, sure, black people have it bad, but like what I do is I set things up so that I can cause racial unrest between black and white people, which would probably be insinuated, probably not be as bad if it wasn't for my race grifting. And then I go in and I take advantage of it and make money. Like, that's his whole thing. He's a stand-in for, you know, honestly, like some actual real people. But that's only like the grifting side of it. The starting all of this stuff, it's inferred, like actually really happens. But like, don't, dude, fucking like Sean, what's his name? Sean King, Talcum X, as I've heard him described. He just lets the news happen. He does not try to generate himself because he doesn't need to. The cops handle that on their own without any interference. But we find that in Shapiro world, in Shapiro's America, it's not quite that way. I'll go down here. This is an insanely large amount. Levon gets an entire fucking backstory of bullying shit. He talks to people. Yeah, okay, then we're done. Okay, so we get down to this part. I guess I forgot to highlight this. This is the inciting incident for Levon's entire side plot that goes fucking nowhere. Literally tied into the whole Afghanistan terrorism angle with fucking like twine that is stretched absolutely to the tips of it. I'm just going to read most of this entire thing. No, I'm not. I'm actually just going to describe it because I forget how fucking long-winded he is. A cop named O'Sullivan gets a report of a robbery at a gas station. He goes to the gas station. There's a little black kid standing out in front of it. You already know how this ends. You know how this ends because you know how it ends. All right, no surprises here, my friends. The little kid starts talking shit. The kid laughed again, a musical tinkling noise. You ain't gonna shoot me, pig. What, you afraid of a kid? O'Sullivan could feel every breath as it entered his lungs. This is the whole thing feels very, my wet ass P-word the whole time. No, kid, I don't want to shoot you, he said, but I need you to cooperate. Put your hands above your head right now. This is a literal like 10, 11-year-old child. The kid's hand shifted to his waistband again. O'Sullivan's hands began to shake. The best part is trying to write a cop that is justified in his killing of a young black kid in Shapiro's mind, like it's a forgivable act, is that you have to write the cop as the gigantic pussy all fucking leftists describe cops as when they shoot kids in real life. It's a kid in front of a gas station, right? And he's not far away from this kid. Like, it's a close conversation. You could just kick a fucking child in the chest and you're done with him. You're a grown man. It's a child. Kick him. His head is at like barely above knee height. Just fucking put a boot in his face and knock him the fuck down. Shit. Ben Shapiro's cops. I want to read this kid as Kuno because you ain't gonna shoot me, pig. What, are you fucking afraid of a kid? You hear the dice roll? No, kid, I don't want to shoot. You gotta read this. You gotta read this as the lizard brain.
O'Sullivan could feel every breath as it entered his lungs. No, kid, I don't want to shoot you, he said, but I need you to cooperate. Put your hands above your head. Right now. The kid's hand shifted to his waistband again. O'Sullivan's hands began to shake. Get the fuck out of my neighborhood, pig! The kid repeated.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it full fucking. If you do it full Disco Elysium, it makes a little bit more sense. He's just rolling fucking dex checks and shit, failing.
Right now, all Right now, all O'Sullivan was thinking about.
He writes so bad, I can't even do a Disco Elysium voice because there's no smoothness to it.
Right now, all O'Sullivan was thinking about was getting this kid with the empty eyes to back the fuck off.
Go on home.
He said.
You go home, white boy, said the kid. His hand moved lower.
You tried to convince the kid to leave, but he stays there, his eyes mad. Clearly, he's on some sort of drug.
Kid, I'm not going to ask you again. I need you to put your hands on top of your head and get on your knees. Fuck you, pig! It's the best. It's the best way to read it. Critical fail on a roll to like convince him.
The hands kid was nearly inside his waistband now.
Don't do that, O'Sullivan said.
The kid smiled, almost gently.
Don't. Get the fuck out of my hood!
The kid cheerfully repeated.
I'll cap your ass, pig! I can't, I'm sorry. The bit has gone on authority check, thank you. Only you could elevate Ben Shapiro's work, Tyler. I almost like it when you read it as DE, thank you. Kuno doesn't fucking care, Ben Shapiro. Kuno wrote his own book, and it's twice as good as yours. He wrote it when he was taking a shit the next day. The night before. It's written on toilet paper, and it's under Revachol in the fucking sewer, pig.
The roar shattered the night air, a sonic boom in the blackness. The shot blew the kid off his feet completely, knocked him onto his back.
That voice requires so much air without like a lot of noise coming out of it. Sullivan reads it, he's shaking. Shots fired! Officer needs help at the gas station on Iowa and Van Dyke! Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god! O'Sullivan repeated as he moved toward the body. He talks so much more. The kid was wearing a Simpsons shirt for some reason, by the way. So you get the line, the blood seeped through Homer Simpson's face, pulled around the kid's lifeless body.
The blood seeps.
I gotta remember, I wish I'd played Disco Elysium in the last like 2 months so I could remember the checks and what they sounded like. But I want to do the one for, oh God, what is it? Like the heightened senses that make you feel crazy.
The blood begins to soak through the yellow face of the cartoon character.
Oh my God. Officer Ricky O'Sullivan sat down on the curb and began to cry. Hey, he feels real bad about it. Feel bad about it. Oh God! Do you know what this means? Do you know what it feels like to kill a kid? I wrote a song about it. Bam, bam. Killing a child in Detroit's no joke. That would be the most fire. Dude, the fucking South Park creators' adaptation of Ben Shapiro's True Allegiance would be the best. Another young life gone up in smoke. Oh no. I told him to raise his hands, and he gave me some lip. He reached for his waistband, and I emptied my clip. Emptied my clip. Emptied his clip. Emptied my clip. Emptied his clip. Oh no. God damn it, dude. I want that shit. I want that shit like you fucking would. If we ever make a fucking Liefeld High or whatever we're gonna call it, There's gonna be a short scene between where two people are like trying to practice for True Allegiance, the musical. You can't trust men that don't make money. 15%. Do 50% of the crime. Isn't that funny? Facts don't care about your feelings, but I'm feeling bad. One day maybe we can all get along. Until then, I'm just feeling sad. This is all for me, dude. Oh my God, what's going on? Okay. So we are now, who is this? This is Ellen. Okay, so this is the fucking super general's wife. Lives in El Paso, Texas, of course. So now we are going to get into Mexican boogeyman territory. A lot of people have criticized Breaking Bad for being a little over the top when it comes to depictions of cartel activities, just to make them a little bit spiced up and more interesting. You know, like the cartels do, you know, abominable things. They commit horrific crimes. But they're like not that creative. So, you know, the like fucking Machete's fucking head on a turtle, like Ola de, that's not a super common thing with the exploding turtle, you know, that's pretty fucking wild. In Shapiro's America, the cartels are a cooperative, anti-American, anti-white, military force that only the Texas National Guard can keep at bay. We're going to go ahead. Another dead kid. He was the fourth in 2 days. His body so bloated he was barely recognizable as a boy. And there's only one way to tell. Move aside. I can't figure out if a child is a boy or a girl. I have the technique to do it. I am called upon in this capacity very often. Thank you. Please excuse me. I went to Harvard. Kids are drowning and stuff. The coyotes really did a number on him. Vivian's voice sounded small behind her, scared. So like this is a kid that gets beaten to death by a coyote in America, in El Paso, Texas, which is fucking wild. Because I don't know why that would fucking happen. I think the insinuation here is that he doesn't pay. I can barely remember this part because it just goes off the rails in like 10 seconds. This isn't the craziest part. But like the way that coyotes work is they're going to take you across the border for money. They are going to make sure before they walk you or drive you or take you across the border that you have the money on their side. Usually if the coyotes do violence, they do it in Mexico. And they won't leave dead bodies on the ground where they're working, because that is what you call evidence and a trail to make it harder for them to do their jobs the next time. No, there's dipshits out there that fuck things up for everybody. Don't get me wrong. But most of the kids that die, most of the people that die trying to come north from Mexico, die from exposure to the elements. The desert is sufficient of a murderer. It does not need generally assistance from people. And in El Paso, you're going to beat a child to death like randomly. Why? Who knows? No real reason. Crazy. So we go down here a little bit. The flood wasn't completely expected. Okay, this is a train of death. Some of the children rode the so-called train of death from the southern border of America, then waited for American Border Patrol agents to pick them up in the desert. I know I'm skipping through chunks of this and just trying to like remember, even though I have stuff highlighted. You got to understand, I'll just read any random paragraph. Watch. Any random paragraph, this is what it sounds like. The first bullet missed Vivian, but the second caught her directly in the face. Her head slammed back against the seat rest, the back of her head splattering. One moment, her pretty face was staring directly at Ellen. The next, there was no face, just a mess of tissue and tendon and bone and blood. Actually, I think I accidentally picked... I rolled a critical success 20 on that selection. Still one of the most boring paragraphs you ever heard. A lady just gets executed by the fucking cartel. She gets shot. Ellen, the general's wife, still in El Paso, Texas, for whatever the fuck reason. She's working there. Her fucking assistant gets just blown away in their car by cartel people who hop in a series of black helicopters and fly off. So the cartel actually has more helicopters than they have on Brett's base back on the other side of the world. We get a little bit. Sometimes Ben blesses us with random foreign words, and it's great. Allah is never translated into God, which is literally just the fucking word it is. So any Arab person, even though if they're speaking English, it would kind of make sense. Like if they just say Allah, but like if you're talking about it, like he refers to any Muslim reference to God is Allah, not God, even though it's the same God. It's just different ways of approaching. But like Jewish God and fucking like English, like you know, I don't know if there's even any Jewish characters in this, but like there's no like differentiation. Like we don't call like the Jewish God Yahweh. You know what I mean? Like they pray to Yahweh, and then like the English people, Christians get God. Like there's not that three. No, Jewish and Christians pray to God. Muslims, well, no, Allah. So they just ice this chick. This has nothing to do with anything, other than she's married to the one guy. She's sad that her friend dies. Okay, we're back in Kabul, Afghanistan. By the way, this is the same story. All this shit reads like fucking Ben Shapiro, great, like a Daily Wire. Imagine like reading Daily Wire stuff for more than 5 minutes. That's what this is. It's miserable. But we go back. He's just fucking dipshit's thinking about Ellen again. I can barely. At night, the streets emptied completely. Even the Taliban fighters didn't want to be in the open. They'd be in nearby apartment buildings, no doubt huddled around their primitive fires. It's Kabul. It's Kabul, Afghanistan. They have heat. If you're in a house, it's not a primitive fire. They have fucking fireplaces. They have like chimneys and stoves. I just thought that was funny. So he's here back in Afghanistan wandering around. I probably sort of covered all of this before. Better to crack a few teeth than to be featured on CNN being dragged through the streets. Oh yeah, he puts his gun in his mouth. He puts an M9 in his teeth and like bites down on it for the pain, which is the wildestly stupid thing. Don't ever bite down on something metal for the pain. He's in the military. He can just take his belt that he should be wearing off and bite on that, which is what you do. That's a thing. That's just the thing that you do. It's just always there. Maybe his hat, I don't know. But he just bites down. By the way, an M9 is like one of the thickest 9mm pistols too. It's just a clunk. So there's just a guy walking around, which is wild, like fucking Zorro from One Piece with the whole M9. It's the biggest fucking 9mm pistol. I swear to, it's the biggest. Like this big. Cute. It's just hobbling. It's the stupidest image possible. Like, he doesn't even know enough about the gun. You could at least, if it's useless, disassemble it and then bite on the barrel. You know? Or something. I think maybe it's actually, it might even be his magazine, but I think it said he bites down on the M9. Hold on, let me just double check real quick. Let me just double check. If you fell asleep, carcass, whatever, pitiful hamlets, airport. Jesus Christ. Arms broken. Okay, he bites down on his magazine. Never mind, my bad. But still, the fucking magazine. Like, you have a belt on, or just a shirt. Like, you could talk to anybody. You could talk to any medical professional will be like, I can just start thinking of things anywhere on earth that you should be biting down on more than a magazine. Like, was he wearing a shirt? Okay, put the shirt in his mouth, just twist it. Because, like, I just don't want you guys out there to think, you know, if anyone is stupid enough to take advice for a Ben Shapiro thing, like, I don't know, if you get injured, don't take the magazine out of your gun and chew on it. You just crack your teeth. And then your teeth will be broken. Okay, yeah, the Taliban take over the airport, which happened eventually, but we had to leave first because we're so fucking badass that they had to fucking wait their goddamn turn. Let's stabilize. Okay, fucking, he does bullshit. Glock, a passport. Yeah, so this whatever. Brett had known of the CIA's discovery of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq for years. Everyone on the inside had known. The media had reported that the government had lied, that somehow all the world's greatest intelligence agencies had been dead wrong, but that wasn't the case. Hussein had smuggled some of the weapons out of the country to Syria. Friend? Bashar, is that, yeah, fucking Bashar al-Assad was just like, oh, you want anything? Yeah. Others have been buried in the desert, which is wild because this came out in 2016. Like, just writing that WMDs in Iraq fucking theory is still real in like the early 2010s is just a wild flex. I don't care about anything else that happened. The ambassador was a dickhead and was like working with the CIA about something. It's impossible to follow. We go back to the president. The president is doing some bullshit. Oh, this is This is a whole section on 9/11 trutherism. There was a huge number of foreign reports about people seeking to borrow shares in the days before 9/11. The volatility in the airline shares jumped 30% between September 4th and September 7th. Then boom, September 11th. The airlines get slammed. Stocks go through the floor. Somebody makes a bundle. Somebody who knew in advance. Betting against airlines is always a good bet because airlines are always losing money because it's public transportation that you are trying to make people pay for. Yeah, so this is just gibberish bullshit. The entire time. It's just more and more stuff about fucking Brett being stuck and like, what should we do? It's like a West Wing episode about people you don't care about. Mr. President said his secretary, a hot little hand-picked blonde number named Marissa. Marissa does not come back. Bubba Davis. Okay, so this is where we introduce yet another semi-main character, Bubba Davis, who is the head of, he's the governor of Texas. His name's Bubba Davis. And he wants more support and individuals and money and guns and tanks and whatever for the Texas border, right? This is found out throughout the entirety of all of these things. There's backstory extrapolated in all of these things. That's just a series of like stories that happen. Like he just tells like whole news stories again and again and again, or we'll have to sit down and be like, he went from talking on Fox News, a great interview, speaking down, sitting, although one reporter asked him this little thing, to this and that. This is it. Like, I know I'm skipping through stuff, but you have to, like, shit is not related and nothing fucking happens until the very end of this. It is just bullshit, meandering bullshit and whining and conspiracy theorizing, which you could probably get into more extensively, but it's literally just not worth it. Now we're in Austin, Texas. Brett had lost weight. Wait, what? Oh, okay, yeah. Brett gets captured by the Taliban and taken, we find out later, to Iran. It's just whatever. The storytelling goes fucking completely crazy. His wife is seeing him on whatever. Yeah, okay, so he's doing the fucking we're a prisoner jumpsuit, gonna get your head cut off type deal. The blood of innocence is on your hands, President Prescott, the masked figure said. Oh, this is just the only reason I even brought this one up. This is a great quote. She reached out to the television, stroked his cheek, the cheek that had laid on her breast the first night they made love, the cheek that had wet with tears the night of the miscarriage. His eyes blinked rapidly as she stroked the screen, almost as if she could feel her touch him across the world. I just have a lot of respect to say that because I'm 6'4", so if I sleep with a woman, her head's on my chest. Because women small, Tyler big. But Ben, when he thinks of sleeping with a girl for the first time, he's cuddle up on her, which is cute. It's okay. It's okay to be the little spoon as a big spoon. You know what I mean? Which is just fucking funny as shit. Wait, didn't this lady die? No, the lady to the left of her got shot in the driver's seat of the car, but then she was fine. But they called her a pinche puta. Pinche puta. That's the only Spanish you get. And then they fly off in their cartel. After that, It's very true. Pinche puta. Tell your governor not to fuck with us anymore. And then they get in their helicopters and fly away. Tremendous. She goes to the Texas border. Close the border. Enough is enough. Protect your people. They're all doing that. For every nut with a gun she knew, there were 10 willing to put him down. So she works apparently with like the governor of Texas doing some shit. I think I just forgot what job she has because it sounded like made up or stupid. She just has like a job where she's like a busybody. She's like a busybody fixer person that drives around and looks at shit. I don't know why she would be working directly for the governor of Texas and the wife of a Marine Corps general, which is an insanely large amount of money per year. I'll just leave it at that. And then also she's going out to like cartel murder sites, investigating like border her job is insane. Bubba Davis, after we were introduced to Bubba, after a stint in Vietnam back in the late 1960s, Davis, a big bear of a man, burly and fun-loving, had come home without a job. He'd finally gotten one working on an oil rig, so he's an oil guy. Just so you know, Texas oil guy. Bubba Davis played politics like he played football. He pushed the line. The press called it swagger. He just called it the Texas way. I just jumped into the stream. Does it pass the Bechdel test, Tyler? No. Wait. Sort of. Two women do have a conversation. It's not about a man. It's about a murder suspect. It's about a dead body. So we can just ignore that it's a boy. Right before one of the women gets shot to death by the cartel. But that is, I believe, sufficient to... It's like a B. It's a B grade. It's in like an 85 out of 100 on the Bechdel test. Since Marge died, Bubba Davis drank too much, smoked too many cigars. Okay, so Bubba's whole thing, I'm boiling it down. There's a lot of back and forth here. There's a lot of conversation. Conversation sounds like this. When two people talk in a Ben Shapiro book, it sounds like this. A shadow of a weary smile crossed Ellen's face. So what else is new? I'm not going to stand for it anymore. What can we do? You saw what they did to Vivian, and the feds hamstrung us. Not anymore. The cringe became a pit. What are you planning? I'm going to give them the authority to kick ass, Ellen. He said shoot, but I added that. Davis said softly. She couldn't stop herself before the words came out. You must be out of your mind. I'm not. I've only been out of my mind to think anything would change. I talked to Prescott yesterday. He's stonewalling me, threatened to send the feds against us, to arrest our boys, to arrest me. If I do a damn thing to stop this war, and it is a war. I knew Vivian too, Ellen. I recruited her to the office. Knew her from when she was a little girl and took piano lessons with my wife. That funeral was the last one I'll be a party to. This conversation continues that's what I read. It goes all the way down. Do you want more? Do you think it ends as dialogue? Do you want more? Do you think you're going to learn anything? When I'm telling you I'm skipping through and barely making it, you have to believe me. Don't worry, they won't do shit. I know a coward when I see one, and Prescott's yellower than dehydrated dog piss. Central Valley, California. This is Soledad again. I think most of this is skippable. She ends up like teaming up with the SWAT guy. A SWAT guy feels bad for her and then helps her run away. And then she begins like a long pilgrimage across the north part of America. Again, literally nothing to do with anything other than the specter of leftism has gotten her again. Oh, this is just a good one. The fucking feds shoot up her house from a helicopter with a 7.62, which is more than likely a pintle mounted. I believe the one you shoot out of a helicopter is an M240 hotel with spade grips and the specialized attachment for pintle mounting in a helicopter. M240 hotel 7.62 millimeter medium machine gun. firing at the cyclic rate of 900 plus rounds per minute, I believe, 100 rounds per minute, 6 to 8 round burst. 6 to 8 round burst, 8 to 10 second pause. Die, motherfucker, die. Anyway, then the heavy caliber 7.62 millimeter rounds began crashing through the roof, bathing the bathroom in speckled light. As Soledad kicked out the last board and crawled beneath the home, as Foster followed, both of them belly down in the dirt, covering their heads. The ceramic tiles Soledad had so carefully picked to match the decor shattered above them. I cannot express in words how fucking dead you'd be. If a fucking if the 240 is raining down on you from above, you are chosen by God to live if you are in a fucking building where, because this is just statistic, right? When you shoot a bullet through stuff, first off, it starts spinning around. So like it basically turns, when you fire a lot of bullets, into like a weird sort of shotgun kind of vibe. Especially if it's going down through a wooden house. The bullet's going to go here, 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 here. So one good round, we're blowing that. That's a little holes, right? All of the stuff it's hitting is receiving and then like being, it's physics, right? So if this piece of wood gets hit with the bullet, it's now moving as fast almost as the bullet was. It's getting blown out at bullet speed. All of that shit's happening. So like the little bits of tile and stuff are now their bullet speed, okay? It's called shrapnel. It's this whole thing. It might not have the exact math, like the exact force of shit, but all of that stuff is going to start hitting you, and it's going to hit you a lot. And it's so many bullets. it's so many bullets that if you can see the roof opening up around, like the you're probably getting hit with something, because also they don't stop moving until they're done, and bullets work a lot. If it's coming from down too, you're losing almost no fucking velocity from a helicopter. What, you 200 meters up, 100, just a house. Oh my God, somebody's getting fucking drilled. If you're seeing them coming through, they're going like this, pop, 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 pop. They'll puncture a roof and then glide down the fucking drywall, glide at like, whatever, 700 miles per hour, some dumb, I can't remember the numbers, glide down the drywall and then ricochet up off of the tile. The whole thing gets filled. Like, when you spray water, right, in one direction, and you're like, hey, I'm good at spraying the water. I can hold the hose just right. When you spray water into a bucket, how it changes up a little bit, the vibe is different, like that. That's what the bullets are going to do when they start going into the house. That's why shooting into a house from the outside is something you cannot do unless you want everybody to die. Because wall banging is not just like, hey man, I'm pretty good at Counter-Strike. Bloop, bloop, it goes through. No, the bullet goes crazy. The bullet explodes. It pops apart. It hits a nail that starts spinning and flying at that speed. It's real bad. It's real bad to be in a house that can be penetrated by bullets when they're coming in, because the bullets just keep going. I really can't nail that home enough. And if it's not sideways, if it's down, then they're going to hit the ground. And a bullet that hits the ground just comes back up. Anything that a fucking bouncy ball will bounce off of, think of it like this. If a bouncy ball will bounce off of it, a bullet will bounce off of it. So your stone slab that your house is built on, rocks, hard-packed dirt, ice, anything, it'll bounce off. It's not like oh, hey, I can fucking shoot 3 fucking iron pans and like bend a bullet around a building kind of shit. It's just like, hey man, this thing's got, it's now it's a toy and it's going to go everywhere possible. It's just crazy that she's like, it's so Hollywood. You know what I mean? But they escape. Whatever. Detroit, we're back to Levon. This is where we get to it. Levon had one of his boys give little Kendrick a $20 bill to go and harass the cop. Kendrick, of course, thought it was just a piece of good, clean fun. Messing with white cops was a rare joy, made you feel like more of a man. I don't know when messing with white cops is a rare joy for somebody that I guess lives in the hood, because it's just like, what's up? They're fucking around. Ooh, it's that Sunday of the year. I'm gonna go fucking take my life into my hands. And with all the big boys telling him how he'd be a boss in the neighborhood if he baited the cop, he'd been enthusiastic. He probably looked forward to coming home and telling his buddies how he'd told that cracker-ass pig to go to hell. Stared right at him and cursed him to his face, made the pig back down. Kendrick knew he was supposed to go for his toy gun. They told him it would be a joke, that the cop wouldn't do anything, that the cop would pussy out. Which is wild. Because, like, honestly, if the kid was just, like, a little junior banger, right, and working for the other, like, you could just do that and just be like, oh, this kid was in a gang, like, as a really little kid, which happens sometimes because, like, fucking gangs will just take advantage of children that don't have parents that are looking out for them. It's just an unfortunate fact. But any kid, like a random kid, I don't like it, isn't just gonna be like, hey man, if you ever pointed a gun at a cop, like as a black child, like if you ever tried it, like that's fucking, that's wild. I just want to see that experiment. Just try it. Just go around asking like random, and I think the kid's supposed to be like 10 or 12 years old, you know? He's not like 4. He's old enough to be like taken mildly serious by the cop, I guess, when he's like, fuck you, pig, I'll fucking shoot you. And like, if a 4-year-old even fucking hold a gun in their waistband, but you know, like, hey, let's be Shapiro's, all fucking like black 12-year-olds are like built like 18-year-olds in Shapiro land, all right? The 12-year-old black kid in Shapiro land's got a fucking beard. All right, he's got that fucking Cartoon Network high fade with the fucking sideways fucking braids popping out. He's basically, he just looks exactly like that one chick from Apex, Bangalore. 12-year-old, 5'8", 5'9", you know, like pushing like 180, fucking no shirt, hair's got chest on it. You know, your average 12-year-old with a gun in his pants. You just got to go to the hood sometime. You can just do it. You can visit if you want. I mean, I know it's terrifying, but just be like, hey, little 12-year-old kid, do you think the other neighborhood kids could convince you to go point a gun at a cop in front of a gas station at like 2 a.m? The kid would be like, what? It's why, because like you can convince kids to do all kinds of crazy shit. You know what I mean? But like some things, it's just not like, hey man, do you think you could convince a kid in your neighborhood to just literally go jump off a bridge, just jump off the interstate? Like, oh, it's fine. All the cool kids are doing it. Like, there's a way you could make that kid do it by like fucking with them, you know, like that's a possibility. But the kid's just like, oh, it's a little game. I'm a 12-year-old in the hood. The big boys said I'm going to go scare a cop at a fucking gas station at 2 a.m. What? It's just fire, and I love it. So we find out that the one black main character in this, the one black POV character that I've noticed reading through this book, is a race baiting grifter, who has set up a black child to be shot by a cop. An impossible thing that would have never happened on its own otherwise in Detroit, Michigan. It would just never have occurred. No black child has ever been shot. No black person would have ever been shot in Michigan without this guy convincing a cop to do it. And it turns into this whole thing. It's basically Ben Shapiro, fucking Nostradamus, predicted like the Breonna Taylor protests. You know what I'm saying? Like he predicted the George Floyd protest. The people get mad, all right, and they want justice against the cop. And this dude, I still don't quite understand this because it doesn't make any goddamn fucking sense. Sorry, there's a part I gotta read here in a second. It doesn't make any fucking sense, but basically, I'm only a third of the way into this book. I'm probably gonna skip to the end here in a second because it's 11:30 and I don't want to keep talking about it.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like